Here's my review of Blink Twice. I think that this was a very cool and unique horror movie that, like, it's a horror movie, but it's less scary more than it feels very eerie, which I really like. Where we're following this woman named Frida who goes to this tech billionaire's island and a bunch of crazy things start happening. And this is basically a movie I feel like it's just a slow burn, but I really liked it, and it just progressively is going like getting like this, and you're like, something's off here. And I think that's what this movie does very well, is it just basically gives you such this uneasy feeling throughout the whole movie, and it just makes you wonder, but I really dug it. In terms of performances, Frida, played by Naomi Aki, she is incredible in this film, and just this whole time, like, she is able to give off this just such a terrifying, not terrifying itself, but you could tell how terrified she is, where it almost does, like, make you scared, even though, like, we're rooting for her, but we're almost scared of her, even though she's the one who's scared. It's hard to explain, but she was just fantastic in this movie. And throughout this whole movie, like, we're getting these certain senses from all these different characters of, like, how they don't remember certain things, and it's just this eerie feeling each time. You're like, what's really going on here? And I just really liked it. I loved just the atmosphere and like weird, disturbing atmosphere that this movie provided, and just it consistently kind of keeps you on your toes, and you just want to, like, your heart's beating. You're like, what's going on? What's gonna happen next? And it gets even more disturbing because Frida's friends, like, who keep disappearing, they don't even realize, they completely forget that they're disappearing. Like, they keep forgetting, and it just gives you this sense of dread. You're like, okay, this has gone too far. We don't know what's going on. And I think that that's what this movie does so well, is just keeps you guessing and just keeps your heart pounding, just worrying what's going to happen next. And just because we're seeing this, like, through the perspective of Frida, and it's just interesting how quickly it goes from just gorgeous to just terrifying, because, I mean, we're at this awesome, beautiful island, and it's awesome, and then progressively it just gets worse and worse, and I really liked it. And, I mean, Channing Tatum's character is just so devious, and, like, when Frida finds certain pictures, it's just you just keep going, like, oh, wow, this is what's happening, and this whole time we're just, like, in shock and just worried for each reveal that's going to come. And another thing that, like, makes this whole thing feel off is, like, how whenever Frida and her friends are talking to, like, all the staff here, like, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, they don't communicate with them. And so this whole time, and then you have, like, all these snakes around here, and then you just see them holding dead snakes, and it's just this sense of, like, eeriness, like, and disturbingness that just puts you on the edge of your seat. And I think it is, I would say this is a pretty quick movie, but it never feels like it's going too quick. This movie's only an hour and 42 minutes, but I feel like it was very well paced, because each scene, it progressively gets, like, more intense, but it never feels like we're going from, like, 0 to 100. It progressively is a slow burn, but even when I thought at the beginning, even when it's not really super scary, we like these characters and we're having fun because we have this such a cool perspective of just seeing this grand island, and it's just very, very cool and unique. And I think because we see, like, all this memory loss throughout the characters, even our own Frida that we're following, it just gives us this sense of, man, what is going on? Wait, did that happen? And as we're unraveling this mystery, each reveal feels like a satisfying payoff for the most part. And I think that, and also just Channing Tatum, though, like, I still think that Naomi Aki gave the best performance in this movie, but Channing Tatum is just so good as well. He's so charming and fun, but yet in a blink of an eye, he can just become terrifying. And I thought that he was fantastic. And I mean, Channing Tatum's been having a pretty good year. I mean, and he is just so great in this movie. And just, I think all the performances were great, even though I think Naomi was the standout, and she was fantastic. And this is also a movie because I liked it a lot. I want to say it's not like the best horror movie of the year, but I definitely say it's up there. but it's definitely a movie I want to watch again to see if I pick up on anything else. And I think it might be one of those movies where you might not get everything the first time. I know I certainly didn't. So it's definitely a movie I kind of want to watch again to kind of unravel it better. But for what it was, I personally very much enjoyed this movie. Maybe I'll like it even more next time. Maybe I'll like it even less. But as of right now, I thought this was a very solid horror thriller movie that just feels unique to just the horror genre. Because I even think that if you don't like horror movies, I still think that you can like this because it's more of like, I always say, I hate saying thriller as opposed to horror because they are kind of the same thing, but this is more of horror where less super scary, but more you're feeling uneasy. And that could arguably even be better. But yeah, I think that this movie was pretty good.